Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Steve Lentini, and I am the creator of the Universal Sales Training Program and Lentini Training. And sales training is something that I have a passion for. I've been helping people with new ideas for selling and relating to salespeople to prospects for 40 years. And one of the things that I specialize in is helping people discover what their blocks are, their blocks to success. And most of the times it's things that they don't know. They can't see it. So there's the body of language and body of knowledge that we know. Then there's the body of knowledge that we don't know, right? So we work on that. And then there's the body of knowledge that we don't know. And I call that waking up. So I have a book called Wake Up, Jump Into Your Life. It's the next book that I'm going to put through a publisher. And I've also written Sales Success for the Rookie, How to Succeed at Sales Right from the Start. I'm also a contributing author in the book Imagine 30 Days to a New You. There's 30 different authors that write a chapter, and I'm one of them. And great ideas in the book for how to grow and how to change. And so one of the theories that I've been working on for years is that if we keep changing, then things change for us, that we're also managing the energy that we put out in life. And the block that most salespeople have no idea about is that their thinking is creating their world. And so if they're stuck, let's say their sales are flat for 3, 4, 5 years, or their sales are kind of like in a small range, up 2%, down 2%. It looks like they're barely alive. If it was an EKG, their thinking is the reason for that. And when you talk to them, you'll hear words like, "Oh, I just can't do that. I'm not as well connected as the other guys who are so good at that. Whine, yeah. That's what it sounds like. It's a whine. It sounds like a motorcycle. Yeah. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's not for me. I'm not this and I'm not that, and that's not for me. I don't know anybody." Those words, those are what I call self-limiting words. And those are the things that hold people back. The other thing that salespeople that have trouble with is that they don't follow a system. They don't use a similar process, kind of like having a foundation forms, right? You pour concrete into just an empty hole, it'll fill the hole. But if you pour the concrete into a form, it creates walls to build the structure on, right? It creates concrete footing, or it creates a concrete basement to build the rest of the structure on. So you need a foundation, something that you follow. And I don't profess that you follow it rigidly, 100%, so that people can get to know what you're up to. Because clients are smart, salespeople train them. So one of the reasons that prospects tell stories and don't necessarily tell the truth to salespeople that they don't know is because salespeople over the years have lied, working only to fill their commission, line their pockets. I call it commission breath. And so prospects are wary of salespeople. So when you first meet someone, they're wary that you're probably not telling them the truth, and so they don't tell you the full story right away because they want to get some information from you. They want to find out what is it about you that they can trust. Okay, so we know that salespeople are self-sabotaging themselves, and I know successful salespeople. I'm coaching a number of successful salespeople that went to a level beyond where they thought they could go once they started to fine-tune their thinking. And when they followed a system for selling, they eliminated certain prospects much quicker. They didn't slam the door on them, but they didn't get enrolled in bids. They didn't get enrolled in, hey, here's a proposal, and it's this thick, and we want you to go through the whole thing. let's say it's for a cleaning company or a painting company. Here's our scope of work, and we want you to bid it. It could be for a plumbing contractor. Here's our scope of work, and we want you to bid it. And my first thought is, well, don't you have someone? You've been in business for 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, 9 years. Unless they went into business last night, now I'm curious and wondering about other things like, gee, who have you used before? Well, we haven't used anybody before because we're new at this. This is our first bid. So we want you to help us. Wow. I'm not interested in having my time spent on that. I might have a junior associate spend time on it. I'm going to ask him more questions to understand how real is this project for someone like that. And if they've been doing business for 20 years with a provider of supplies, let's say it's for a plumber who's going to build a large hotel. He's going to install all the fixtures, and you sell the fixtures. I would want to know, who's he been buying from all these years? Is he going to take my information? And I'm not going to say it just like that, but I'd be wondering, I want to be curious, is he going to take my information and ultimately give it to someone else so that he can get them to lower their price, or he's helping his supplier understand the competition? Maybe it's possible. I've seen all these kinds of different things over the years. I've personally sold multi-million-dollar sales and million-dollar sales and $600,000 a year and $800,000 to people who weren't interested or couldn't buy from me to begin with. That was what they initially said. And I helped them and was willing to let it all go. And they saw that and respected it. And they called me back and said, hey, Steve, we need you to do what you said. We need you to help us. And in both cases, they were calling multiple suppliers, and they were going to go from, in one case, 10 or 11 suppliers, and in another case, 16 down to 1. And they said, Steve, how could we use you? We've never done $1 with you. And I said, you're right. And I can help you. And I said, in one case, I said, I think you need a partner, and I'm glad to help you with that. I'll help. And then they said, okay, great. What's your idea for a partner? And I said, well, aren't you going to interview all 16 people that you're currently doing business with? Yes, Steve. Okay, so you're going to interview them. I'm sure one of them is going to come up with, or maybe 2 or 3 out of 16. They had 16 suppliers going to 1. I said, they're probably going to come up with the same idea. Partnership. If not, call me. I detached from the outcome, and I let that go totally. That customer called back 4 weeks later after meeting with everybody. They didn't hear it. And they said to me, Steve, we want your idea about a partnership. And do you know? And I said, great, I'm glad to help. Would you do me a favor? Sure, Steve. Would you add me to the list? Would you add us to the list of potential winners, suppliers? And she said, yes. And I knew she was serious. And I went in and helped them with my idea. And ultimately, we won it. We won it. Spalding & Fly was very similar. Spalding & Fly was very similar. So it was a large real estate company. It's now been acquired by another realty company. I don't even recall the name of it at this point. But anyway, it didn't matter, but I was approached by the guy who was doing the buying, and he said, oh, Steve, you look at my name tag in the company, XYZ company. We could never buy from you. I said, Pete, how do you know I'd sell you? I even kind of looked at his name tag the same way. Pete, how do you know I'd sell you? And again, although it was a little different than the large university that eventually bought from us, it was very similar in this regard. It was eerie because it was like deja vu. Pete said to me, why wouldn't you sell us? Do you know who we are? And he was following me around. Kind of like the reverse of what most salespeople do. They would have been following Pete around, saying, what do you mean you could never do business with us? We're the greatest, we're the best, we can do this and we can do that. You know, yep, telling people how great they are. And when you go into that how great they are mode, you're just pushing people away from you. That's it. There's only one way they can run. Now, are there some people that would like that and stick around for it? Yes. And most people won't trust someone doing that. They won't trust someone doing that. So you're pushing away 8 sales and you're closing 2 or maybe 1. You're working a lot harder than you need to be working. I know it for a fact because I beat all those people, right? So I beat the 16 people that were buying, that were selling this particular university. It was a large account, over $1 million. I beat them all out. They had no experience with us. I beat them. And then in the case of the real estate company, it started out with, oh, you work for XYZ company. I could never buy from you, Steve, as he's staring at my name tag. And I looked at his name tag and said, Pete, how do you know I'd sell you? He gave me an energy at me, and I gave him that energy back. In the case of the university, they said to me very gently, oh, gee, we're glad you came in to see us. We were curious about you, but we want you to know we could never give you the business. But it was gentle. So I said, okay, I understand that. I just want to understand why. You don't know us, so I understand why you couldn't give us the business, or how you'd be wondering about that. But tell me what's going on. They said, we have 16 suppliers some who have been doing business with us for 35 years. How could we give you the business? And I said, I understand that. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't give the business to if I was you, right? Why would you say, oh, her name was Linda. Linda, why would you, we're the best. Why would you exclude us like that? Again, I didn't go at her, telling her how great we were and that we could do the business. What I said was, it sounds reasonable. If I were you, I wouldn't give the business to someone that I have no history of doing business with. I don't want to jeopardize my job, and if I were you, I wouldn't want you jeopardizing your job. What if we couldn't perform? What have you heard about us? You must have heard things. Why are we here? That's when she said, oh, you're here because we did, we were kind of curious. Oh, okay, curious. Well, we've heard some things. Okay, what have you heard? She said, we've heard some good and some bad. I said, oh, give me the bad. She told me. And then I said, what did you think about all the bad things you heard? Well, some of it came from my suppliers. They were probably getting nervous. They wanted to say bad things about you. And she said, probably some of it's true. I said, you're right. Some of it's probably true. And what you just told me, some of the things you heard are true, and a lot are not. Okay, what was the good? So I left her with the impression of hearing the good about us. That's the last thing her ears heard from her mouth. Our mouths, our words are programming our subconscious. So it's the same for salespeople that talk negative about their life, about their company, about whether or not they can increase sales. You can always increase sales. And there's no such thing as a challenge. If you belong in sales, if that's your passion, you'll increase sales, right? It's like saying, I love life and life loves me. That's an energy that you put out, right? And life begins to embrace you when you say, I can do anything I set my mind to. I am valuable. I am valued. I am creative. I am prosperous. I am abundant. I am successful. Yeah, you'll find people, like-minded people, that will buy from you. So in the case of the guy who went at me and said he couldn't buy from me, I said, Pete, are there people that you don't sell? He said, yes. Okay, why don't you sell them? He told me they're not big enough. They don't let us make a profit. They don't appreciate all our skills. We're high end. Okay, they were like the Mercedes of real estate. Got it. And as he said all the reasons why he didn't sell everyone, I said, okay, Pete, those are all the same reasons I don't know if I'd sell you. And he understood it. He got it. So I said, let's have a drink, because we were at a networking event. We chatted some more, his kids, my kids, where he was from, where my family was from. And then I said, so Pete, what's going on? Why is it that you came at me and said that we could never sell you? And he said, I got 9 suppliers, Steve. I'm going to 1, and I've never done $1 with you. Never done any business with you. Deja vu, right? And I said, Pete, it sounds reasonable. How could you buy from us? You don't want to lose your job, right? He said, yeah, no, I don't want to. I said, so you probably have 11 or 12. I am somewhat familiar with, we've run into your people, which was true. We had run into their property managers, and I think we might have even been in discussion to sell 1 or 2 locations with a few people. I was out meeting people. That's our job in sales, is to meet people, not to sell anybody right away. Meet people first. Okay, so anyway, I said, Pete, if During this process, so you're going to be bringing all your suppliers in? Yes. You're going to be interviewing them about who's going to be the number one out of everybody, all these other people? Yes. Okay. So I said, if you run into this obstacle, call me. Steve, what's the obstacle? I said, well, you're bringing in all 9 people, and I think it's going to be 10 when you discover. You're going to go through all the invoices to see, talk to your managers? Yes, we're going to do a survey of the property managers. Okay, I think you're going to find 10 or 11 suppliers. I said, if you run into this obstacle, and I told him briefly what it was, I said, I'll help you, call me. And I let it go. He said, what's the obstacle? I said, you're going to bring everybody in, right? Yes. They'll probably help you with it. Somebody will have that idea. And I was willing to let it all go. 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, Steve Lentini. Pete, how are you? Steve, I need help with that obstacle. Okay. I helped him. Do you know I said no to him 2 more times? He called about a week later and said, Steve, what's your fax number? I said, oh, Pete, what do you need? He said, I'm faxing you our bid. Oh, okay. Well, we're not crazy about bids, Pete, but I'll take a look at it. Okay, Steve, thanks a lot. I told him we're not crazy about bids. He faxed it over to me. Remember, he said we could never buy from you. We could never buy from you. I called him back and said, Pete, I can't do this bid. I'm sorry. I have to say no. Steve, why? I really like to have you as part of the process. You helped me through this obstacle. It worked. What you recommended worked. Okay, I'm glad to be on the list. You're putting me in the list of consideration. Yes, you're not just sending me a bid. No, I'm not sending you a bid. You're in serious consideration. Okay, double checking. I said, Pete, what you have here is a watered down list that doesn't provide any wow factor to a manufacturer. You've got way too many suppliers. You need to aggregate this spend with our suppliers, all your suppliers. You need to aggregate the spend so it looks like, wow, it pops out and you get 2 or 3 manufacturers from each line of specialty of products to want to go after this kind of volume. He said, would you help me with it? Yes. Stand by the fax machine. I went over and typed my idea, which was my suppliers, all my suppliers, and I sent it to him. And he was using all those suppliers, but he was using 9 or 10 of each, 9 or 10. I narrowed it to 4 on one and 3 on another, and I aggregated the volume. I showed him what impact it would have. He used my list to send out to everybody. He did come to see our company. Other than that, there was one visit he came to see us. A few weeks later, he called me back and said, Steve, you're not the lowest. Silence on the other end of the phone. I didn't say anything. I didn't respond. He said, what are you doing Tuesday? Can you come over Tuesday? What's your schedule look like? I said, Pete, I'm glad to come over Tuesday. Why am I coming over on Tuesday? And he said, I'm going to give you the business. Oh, thank you. I thought we weren't the lowest. Well, the lowest guy I'm throwing out. It's too low. I don't believe it. I think he'd probably raise pricing after a while. And I said, the next guy that you were higher than, I don't like him. People buy from people they like and trust. He trusted me because I wasn't selling him. I was helping him buy. That was $750,000 or more when we got the whole account, because we had to go see some of the property managers. There was some resistance to it because we had never done $1 with any of these property managers, and some had their favorites. We understand that in business. So people have favorites. So again, what you want to do is follow a system. And my system was, I made sure to bond with people, but I mirrored what the energy is they gave me. If they were soft and gentle, I was soft and gentle. If they were hard and came at me like, oh, we could never buy from you. How do you know I'd sell you? I gave them back the same energy because their brain says, this guy is like me. I'm not sure what it is, but this guy is like me. Okay, so that's a beginning step. You give people the energy that they put out, you give it back. You don't even have to worry about finding things that like in their office, like look around and find golf plaques or bowling, or, I mean, you don't even need that. You don't even need to talk about family. You just give them back the energy they're giving you. Use their tone of voice, use their speed of speech, use their words. People don't even know why they like you, they just know it. So once you're, and then you bond. I like to bond. So again, I'm matching the energy that people give out. I'm even matching their body language, right? So if they're kind of sitting like this, then while they speak, as I get them talking, then I kind of turn. And subtly it says, I'm shifting while you're talking. Subtly it says, I like this person. Then I let them know. I call it an agenda. It's a pre-call agenda, a pre-meeting agenda. I say, hey, I've spent some time thinking about our meeting, and I want our time together to be productive. I'm especially cognizant of you spending your time with me. Thank you very much. I know you're busy, so I've prepared an agenda. Would you mind just taking a second to look it over? Have I gotten everything covered from what you told me previously? So I've done some screening, right? And they say yes or no. If they say no, there's a few more things I could add. Oh, great, add those. If they say yes, I say, you sure there's nothing else to add? Okay, so if you were me, where would you start? Which one's number one? I want to understand what's the priority. Where's that pain that they need a solution to? Where can I help them solve a problem? So then, if they add something, I say, okay, so curious, why did you add that particular thing, right? Oh, it's number one with us. This is where we really want to hone in when we start. If they didn't add anything and they picked, when I said, what's most important, if you were me, where would you start? And they go, right there, where I'd start at number two. Okay, so why wasn't number one the one? And why is it number two is really so important? Help me understand it. Okay. As part of my process, by the way, besides the agenda, I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I really want to help you buy the right solution, even if it's not us. By the way, if you think that we're not a fit at some point, do you mind sharing that with me? Most people are kind of startled, like, why is this salesperson saying that? And they're startled in a good way, because trust me now, I've made multi-million-dollar sales using this system, right? So they'll tell me, no problem, we'll tell you if it's not a fit. Okay, great. I might miss something, so along the way, if it's not a fit, let me know. That's great. If I feel like that we're not a fit, if I feel like at some point that we're not fit, are you okay if I just say, I don't know if this is good for our company? Because guess what? They understand not everybody's good for their company, and they're going to respect you if you're honest like that, rather than try to sell them something and it's not a good fit. 6 months later, you are out the door forever because you burn the bridge by lying. Software companies do this all the time. So I've consulted and am currently consulting some software companies, and I do some sales training for them. And the first thing that I work with them on is tell the truth, under promise and over deliver. So now you've set up, you've bonded because you asked them, hey, how did you get, tell me about your career and what got you here? They might say, well, I started at the bottom. Oh, okay, great. So what other positions have you held? Oh, I worked my way up to this and that, and here I am today. People like to talk about themselves. And if you start them with their job and why they got their job and how they get to that company and how many years they've been there, and did you get recruited in? That's a compliment. It's called a stroke, a pat on the back. A lot of people don't get pats on the back, right? They don't get it at work in a lot of cases. And so, just getting my water. I'm at my hotel room. I'm in sunny Fort Lauderdale. I was just on a cruise. I did a little bit of speaking, and I'm back. And so I wanted to stop so I could do this webinar today, and I got a hotel. Okay, so I bond. I find out I'm matching their energy. right? So that's if they're coming at me and they're a little bit they're a little bit like aggressive. I say, you seem like this might not be a good time, or you seem a little upset. Is it something is it something about me? And usually people will say, no, I got just a lot going on. Okay, would you rather that we reschedule this? But I'm matching them. You seem irritated. If that's how they talk. If they're calm, then I'm matching the energy. Because we all project an energy, by the way, which is the only thing you can manage. The only thing you can manage is you. There's a fallacy about managing other people. And the idea that you could manipulate somebody into selling something to them. Like, you ever hear the expression, oh, that guy could sell ice to an Eskimo? That's BS. It's BS. That's old fashioned. At one time, that's how selling worked. It was you did a tap dance, features, advantages, benefits. Then you said, press hard, 3 copies. When would you like it? Wednesday or Friday? Those days are over. Those days are over. You just need to be yourself. You need to be aware of how the other person shows up. What's their energy? What are the words they use? How fast do they talk? How loud do they talk? You match it. If they're demonstrative with hands, when they are listening, if they ask you a question, you can be somewhat demonstrative so they think you're like-minded. And then, so I knew a guy, I met his sister at a show. They ran a ravioli factory, and I used to sell containers and food service packaging products. And the brother came out, and he was very calm. Oh, hello, Steve. We heard a lot about you. We understand you're selling our competitor. Yeah, he was a big, tall guy. His name was Fred. I said, yes, Fred. We sell your competitor. And I said, have you thought about why? He said, well, you guys, we heard you're pretty good. We hear you pretty good. We hear you, Steve, are pretty good. Oh, thank you very much. But John does the buying, and he's my brother, and he'll be out shortly. Okay, Fred, thanks a lot. John comes out, and he's a lot shorter than his brother, and a nice guy. I mean, really nice guy, but he was like this. Okay, are you the guy? Yeah. Okay, XYZ company? Yes. All right, so come with me. And I walk that fast. Okay, sir, yes, I'm coming with you. And we get out in the back, and do you have that? Yes, we do. Do you have that? Yes, we do. Do you have that? Why do you use that? Why? You got something better? I think so. Okay. I matched and mirrored how he spoke. We got the business. And there were other things that I did for them along the way. Again, though, I helped them buy. Do you notice halfway through, why do you use that? You're using that? That's a number 1 item? That's a number 3 item? Yeah, why? Well, I got an idea there. Okay, great. Now, if Fred had been the buyer, it would have been like this. So this is 1 item. Okay, Fred. Where's the next one? All right there. That's the number 2 item in volume. There's the number 3 item. Oh, no, that's your number 3 item, huh, Fred? Yeah. Well, I got some ideas about that. You open to new ideas? Yeah, Steve, that would be good. That's how Fred would have been if he was doing the buying. And I would have managed it because I'm aware of it. I make myself aware of it. It's something that I taught myself. And then I learned later on, when I did take formal sales training, that was a good thing to be doing, right? Then I share my agenda, and because I've told them that I've done some pre-call planning, I've done some research into your company. I've got my notes from our first few calls, because hopefully I'm qualifying people, right? I've got my notes, and here's something I prepared to make our meeting and our time together most productive, right? That's a stroke, because you're honoring the person you're with. You've told them that you're prepared to make the meeting time most productive. You're not going to be there for an hour if you don't need an hour. You'll be there 10 minutes. So then I say, and during my process, I may ask what seems like a lot of questions, because I want to help us determine if we're fit together. I want to help you determine if I'm a fit for you. And if at any time that we're not a fit, that's the pressure relief valve. If we're not a fit at any time, if you feel uncomfortable with something I say, or you feel like we're not a fit, or we don't have a solution for you, would you mind letting me know? And then, do you mind if I, at some point, feel the same way, that maybe we're not the company for you, or that this is not a good project for us, and I'll recommend somebody. So again, they're going like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, no, I don't mind. I use this all the time. I'm telling you, I know it doesn't, people don't mind because it's not a technique. It's not tacky. It's a method of communication. It's a system. Then I start to ask the questions, right? So that's why I hand them the agenda and I say, okay, what do you think of this? Anything else? Should we add to it? If they don't, then I say, what's number one? Before you hand it back, I don't say that, but before they hand it back to me, I'm asking them, what's number one of the three things that we've got listed there? Okay, why did you pick that? Why is that number one? And they tell me, and I say, okay, great, it makes sense. What about number two and number three? Tell me about those. Okay, I understand why number one is the one you want to start with. So then I go into questioning, like things like, what if you didn't fix it? What if you didn't fix it? Somebody says they've had the problem for 5 years, they're probably not going to fix it. They're probably not going to fix it. Okay, so you've been living with the problem for 5 years. It must not be costing that much. It can't be costing you that much. It must not be. And so I want to understand it. So what if you just don't fix it? It'll keep costing you $5,000 a year. Maybe my solution's going to cost $25,000, so your return on investment is going to be 5 years. Is it really something you want to do? You might as well get to the truth if that's the case. If they say, and this is what I'm looking for, this is important, I'm looking for emotion. If they say, no, Steve, what do you mean? No, we have to fix this. This is costing us $50,000 a year, and I might lose my job if I don't get this fixed. Okay, yes, that's what I want to understand. Okay, great, I think we can help. Let's go into what you're looking for. So what have you heard so far? Who have you seen so far? You've got somebody helping you now. What about change? What happened the last time you made a change? This is a significant change. If that's what you're selling, say it's software, and you're going to convert their company to a new software package, that's significant. So you want to help them hear that we're doing this change, and we know it might be difficult. We're looking for the company that they've got testimonies from clients who say, the change was difficult, but this is what they did for us. That's the information I want. So I'm asking questions for the pain. Then I want to move to understanding and confirming the decision process and the budget before I present any kind of needs. And I may even challenge them before I get to the decision and the budget if I hear something stupid, right? We all hear something stupid that companies are thinking about doing, but some salespeople don't challenge it. They just kind of go, okay, well, we know people that do that. Okay, we can do that for you. No, you have to know when to challenge them. A great book by Matthew Dixon is The Challenger Sale. I think there's a co-author in there. I'm sorry, I don't know, but anyway, I've read the book a number of times. I've highlighted it. I've got a bunch of copies of it. I give them away from time to time. It's a great book. I also like Jeffrey Thal's The Mastering of the Complex Sale. I like some of the Miller Heiman work. I think it's very complex, but anyway, too complex for most selling situations, especially today, because it's about human-to-human contact, and it's about understanding where are they in their challenge and about getting them moving to a solution, right? It's like a pendulum swinging, and you want them moving, because if they're not moving, if they're like this, well, we're okay, we can live with it, we're me, it's a challenge with a new supplier, we're not really going to be interested in a new software provider. Oh, well, okay, why not? You can't move people like that. They're not really interested. They don't have enough pain. If their job's not on the line, or if the company's not losing a lot of money because they don't have the right solution, or they feel like they're antiquated and that it's costing them customers, which is costing them a lot of money, those are the things you want to hear. If not, then it's not a fit. You can say, I really don't hear that you're ready, and we're ready when you are, and am I wrong? I mean, I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. You do it gently. If you understand about breathing and being present and being in your body, then you'll have a natural process to make. You're curious, right? Why would they buy from you? Why? Where are they in the process? What about change? And what about making this big investment? Now you confirm the decision process. So you say, and so how will you make this decision? Will you be bringing other people in to help you so that if that person's the decision maker, you don't want to say, okay, so now who's making the decision for real? No, you'd say, so I'm assuming you're making the decision, and tell me about the process that you've planned. See, they've planned. And they might say, no, I'm not going to be the only one making this decision. Okay, so share with me the decision-making process, and how will you be captaining that? See, again, no, I'm not the captain. Mary's going to take over. I'm going to pass her the baton, and she's going to take over. And then there'll be a committee meeting where I'll be back, and then there's Mary, and then there's Jim, or Sue, who's the economic buyer. It's Miller Heiman, right? So they're the one that's got the keys to drive the car, so to speak. They're going to be the one that makes the decision, the final decision. Then you confirm budget. All right, so now what we're talking about with my solution, our company is going to be somewhere between $250,000 to $500,000, and we've got to work that out as we go through the steps with everyone, as we meet with your whole committee, right? You make it their committee, and so then you've confirmed the budget, right? You give them a bracket. They say, well, yeah, I think we can live in that range. Is it closer to 500 or closer to 250? That's closer to 250. So if I said it was going to be 3 to 375, you'd be okay. Oh yeah, we're in that range. See, you've gotten a bracket. Now you get to the place where you've confirmed the pain. You understand in your mind what the fix is, right? You know what the fix is. If you're that sure and you've got the decision process confirmed and the budget, now you present only to. Nobody cares about the history of your company, believe me. They don't care. They don't care how big the company is, how many clients it has. Unless they ask, don't answer it. If they ask, fine. Hey, why'd you ask that question? That's the first thing I'm asking. I'm going to answer. We've got a lot of testimonials and 2 or 3 particular customers that had the same situation as you did, and we've got the solution for it, and I'll share that with you, but I'm just curious, why are you asking that right now? Well, we just talked to 2 or 3 other companies. We weren't comfortable, or maybe they are. We heard a lot of good things from company XYZ. You say, oh, they're a good company. Okay. Yes, we can. Here's the names of 3 people that you can talk to. So you have a process, and you present only after you have all the facts. It's kind of like you're the doctor. You hear all the symptoms first, and you ask them, all right, so here's what I've got from what you told me. You're feeling this, and this, and it's over here, it's up here, okay, yes. Anything else? The doctor says, no, that's it. Okay, so here's my prescription for you. That's similar, what you're doing. If you're really good at what you do, you want to understand where the customer's at before you talk about any kind of solution, and you prescribe, right? I know people who sell commodities, and the first thing they're looking for is an invoice. I mean, really, it's crazy. It's not good selling. But again, it's a commodity, so it's not really selling. It's not. Sorry to say. It's, they're toilet paper salesmen or sales ladies. They're grabbing an invoice, and they're getting what somebody's paying. And then 6 months later or 3 months later, they've trained the customer to do exactly that. Get an invoice, and then they wonder why their margins compress. So anyway, if you're selling anything but commodities, you need to develop a system and hone your skills. And hone your personal skills in terms of communication. And a lot of people don't want to invest any time in themselves. They don't want to do training. They don't want. They're either threatened by it, they have a lack of intelligence, or they're threatened by people that know something better, know something more, or they're threatened by a new idea because they don't want to say that their ideas are no longer number one, right? So that's an ego crack. They can't open up. They're like an acorn, so they don't ever become the oak tree. And seriously, they limit their possibilities because they're coming from a limited perspective, the acorn versus the oak tree. I've seen the oak. I know that all you acorns can become oaks. I know what's possible, and it's limitless. And you need to begin speaking that way. So you follow somewhat of a system, and then you program your subconscious with the ideas of a huge future, right? You have a limitless future, and you see it and you speak about it before it comes, because that's how it shows up. Okay, so I've given you I started early. I always give extra time. I was just checking the times when I put my glasses on. I've given 9.5, 10 extra minutes, and I started a minute early. So you get 11 minutes extra. So how to contact me? Anybody that signs up for a webinar, thank you, by the way, for signing up. I'm grateful. You get an hour's worth of coaching, half hour at a time. You get 2 free half-hour calls with me, and that's a $300 an hour value. It's what I charge for telephone coaching. And you can reach me at 917, area code 917-805-1088. That's 917-805-1088. You can also reach me by email, Steve, S-T-E-V-E, at Steve Lentini, Lentini.com. Steve at SteveLentini.com. I'm glad to help. Just reference the webinar, or you can send me a chat question, or again, you can email me or phone me. I'll take the call. If I don't take it, I'll call you back. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week on Thursday.